I wanted to make this video for some time. Again, maybe it's just for me, maybe it's for you watching. I don't fully know at this point. But I really wanted to make this. And I wanted to make this so I could state my feelings about my life in general. Because I don't know about you, but I hate my life, honestly. I've hated it for a long time by this point. Maybe sometimes I forgot about it. Maybe sometimes I didn't want to think about it so that I wouldn't be depressed and miserable. But I really fucking hate this. And I've hated it for a long time. For years. And for the past few weeks, maybe up to a month, I've been remembering this. Constantly. Every single day I wake up and I fucking hate the position I'm in right now. Because I used to have a lot of dreams. I mean, hell, I still do. I haven't given up on them at any point. But I used to have a lot of dreams and hopes and wants and desires and images that I laid out in my mind about how my life would be like at this point. Images which have not turned out like I wanted them to. Not enough like I wanted to. Not necessarily because I'm in an extremely bad point in my life right now. I don't feel like necessarily now I have a bad life or I lead a bad life, even though before I really did. You know, I'm not gonna get too into it because I don't think I want that to be the topic of this video, but no, I had a bad life in general. Bad childhood, bad middle school, bad friends, bad shit, bad everything. But I'm not gonna get into it here. I just want you to know that my life sucked. And I think that could go the same for you watching in more or less. And so, because of this, because of the way my life was, I hoped or longed for something more than I have now. I always have, and I still do. I've always wanted really the best, the perfect life, the life with almost no flaws at all. I've always wanted that, or maybe I don't know if the exact perfect life with absolutely zero flaws. I don't know if it's possible, but I want it to be possible. I want it to be something that we can strive towards because, well, what problem would you have with a perfect ideal life? Like, let's be serious. There is absolutely no problem with it. This is the exact thing you would want in your mind. Now, how that life looks like, the no flaws and what flaws or in what ways it would be perfect, that won't apply the same for everyone, and it doesn't have to. But I think everyone would want to strive towards this ideal in their head, no matter how much it may differ from other people's ideal. And I also had this ideal for a long time, and I still do. I still want to get something better. I still want, better people in my life, honestly. I want to, I guess, I could get into my interests. Like, I want to get stronger in the gym. I want to have a better body. I have to, I could state a lot of things. And again, you yourself have your own interests, your own everything, but that's not really the point right now. Just the point I wanted to make is I always longed for something more, something better, something that the ideal life that I was talking about. And I never had it. And not just that I didn't have it, but I had for most of my life the exact opposite of it. The probably worst fucking life possible. I don't know how much you can relate to that, but I think most of you can relate to that on some level. And the idea is, for context, right now, I'm 18, right? I'm pretty much finishing high school by this point. And high school, for me, was dog shit. I fucking hated it. And I still hate it. Hate it so fucking much with all of my guts. I want to get out of this institution as fast as I humanly fucking can. Genuinely. And I've hated it since the beginning. It was so fucking shit. It's like doable now. It's how just handleable. Nah, that sounds stupid as fuck. It sounds I can handle it better now is what I'm trying to say. But back in the beginning, it was so shit. And the thing is, because of the aforementioned shit life that I led, that I told you about, I wanted to have a lot of hopes for high school. a lot of hopes for, especially for the kind of people I'd be around, because I never really had the kind of people I wanted around me. Never by that point, and honestly not up to this point either. And when I got to high school, I had been building up these hopes for these wishes, desires for months now. I was so optimistic. I really thought that this would be it, right? That I could finally have what I wanted, that I could finally get it. Like, there would be no issue anymore. And I felt like I could have it. I really did, and I really blindly believed that I could have everything at that point through this fucking institution. And what I got was the complete fucking opposite. Though, first day, it didn't even take long for me to realize. First day of high school, I obviously got to meet all of my colleagues from my class, and some of them went to a nearby hangout location, along with some other colleagues from other classes as well, and shit like that. So I got a few hours or so to talk with some of the people from my school, the new people that I haven't ever met before. I spent a few hours with them, and you can imagine, like, I don't know, you can portray in your mind, like, the image of an optimistic little boy thinking everything is going to be alright, thinking everything is going to be just fine after so much dog shit that had happened. Just portray that in your head, and then watch his smile slowly fade, watch his eyebrows suddenly turn, watch his face suddenly fucking twist from inside out after realizing from the very first day that none of the people he would be hanging around would be anything like he imagined. Because I thought the people I would be around in high school, we have a lot of common interests, common values, and so forth. And I realized that wasn't really the case. I realized after a while, well, not really after a while, after basically one day, I realized that wasn't the case. I realized the kind of life that I wanted to lead wasn't up for the table. After so much pain that I had endured, it all felt for nothing. Look, I don't know how high school was to you. You may have had a good high school experience or a bad high school experience. I don't know how much you can relate, but I would want to bet that most of you can at least somewhat relate to this. Now, maybe in high school, you didn't really have the best experience. You didn't really have the exact people you wanted around you. Maybe you were also immature as fuck back then. I was too, even though I didn't realize it. And I wasn't able to get the people I wanted to have around me actually be around me, and so forth. So I think that really you can most likely at least somewhat relate to this. But recently, I've just been remembering the dreams and the wishes and desires I've had. I would have remembered them earlier from ever since I restarted high school, but obviously in the last grade it's a bit hard with all the kind of work that gets shifted onto you. With tuition, with schoolwork, with homework, with fucking everything. But now that I finally got some free time again, I just started remembering everything. I started remembering that my life now, without schoolwork, there isn't much to boast of. I still don't feel like I have a lot of talents or hobbies that I've actually developed all that well by this point. I still don't. After all this time, I have some hobbies, I have some interests, but I don't feel like I've spent enough time to actually sharpen them as much as I wanted to. I haven't spent as much time developing them as much as I wanted to. I haven't actually gotten as good in them as I thought that I could in the time frame that I set for myself. And in the point that I managed to get right now, even though I've gone through so much, even though I've gone through so many bullshit trials, and I think that you have too in some respect, I just still don't feel like I've gotten where I want to be in life. And I guess now that I realize it, maybe I'm making this video because you probably haven't gotten to the point in life where you want to be either. I would bet that most of you haven't, if you're watching this. And so, what do you do by this point? What if years just passed by, years and years, and so much time passed by, and you still don't have much to boast of? You're still nowhere close to achieving what he wanted to achieve. You're still nowhere near actually being where he wants to be. Well, I think the first thing that you could do is just take a breath for a minute and realize that, well, unless you're 80 or so, you still probably have a lot of years left to live. You've still got a lot of time left. And that isn't to say that you can spend your time wasting your ass on the couch. It really doesn't. But what it does mean is that, yes, you don't have to worry so much, at least just yet. Still have time to do what you want to do. You may not get where you want to be immediately or in a moment. It may still take a while. I don't know how much. I mean, hell, I still can't picture a really realistic time frame for myself. The worst case scenario for me that I'd assume is probably still a lot of years by this point. A lot of years to get to the kind of people that I want to get to. A lot of years to try meeting them, to try meeting new people, try to see if they are it or not. Trying to develop my hobbies, my interests, or at least for me, it's programming mostly. I don't know what it is for you, but again, probably the same issue, Still need a lot of years to develop and hone this shit so you can actually get a good job and good career in this. And actually get fucking accepted and employed, because apparently fucking everyone everywhere is having a hard time getting employed, even with 2 masters and 5 different fucking degrees. So I know it's a bit of an ass right now in the job market, but whatever. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it sucks. It really sucks. And you may not get what you want for a while. Even though you know it's right for you. Even though you may be ready for it or not. It still may be a while until you really get to where you want to be. And that doesn't necessarily always have to be your fault. You could always try your best, but it's still not enough in a short time span. It doesn't really necessarily have to be about bad people getting what they deserve or good people getting the good things they deserve, because a lot of times, well, neither really receives exactly what they deserve. Sometimes life can just suck for no good reason. Sometimes it can be good for no real good reason. Just most of the time, I guess you could say, or at least some of the time you could say, it's just out of control. Well, life doesn't have to be bad for all of the time. There are still a lot of things within your control. There are still your interests and hobbies and career that you can develop, your whatever really matters to you. And whatever truly matters to you, you can to at least some degree control, Again, you can, as I said before, you can develop your hobbies and interests and so forth. You can also try meeting new people to get the people you want around you. But again, it will take a while probably. I don't have necessarily any comforting words to say. Life just sucks. It really does. But while it may suck, you can still adapt to it. You can still strengthen yourself. You can still get through it. No matter how much you're crying right now about how shit life is. As long as you're still alive, there's still something you can do. And well, if there's still something that you can do, I think that you ought to do it. If you still see a path forward for yourself, if you still see a way to get everything that you've ever wanted, then I think you ought to take it. Because personally, I hate living with less. I don't know how it is for you. I don't. But I really do hate living with less, and I've hated it all my life. And these past few days and weeks, where I've spent hours on end thinking about this, contemplating, I realized that honestly, sometimes I'd rather just die than accept living as I am right now, than accept living with less than what I could have. Because honestly, I don't want to live a life with less. I don't want to live a life where I settle for what I don't want and then think back about all the things that I could have done, all the years that I could have spent doing something for what I wanted to get, and then realizing that I didn't do any of it just because I wanted it easy, just because I wanted to give up for a moment. I couldn't stand that. You know, no matter how hard life gets, you can always still get through it as long as you know you're doing the right thing. Any pain, it doesn't even matter if it's physical, emotional, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you know you're doing the right thing, you can always still get through it. But if at any point your faith wavers and you no longer know or believe that what you want, that what you truly want is the right thing, everything just collapses. You can't get through the pain anymore. You can't stand yourself. You hate yourself. You can't stand the person that you are anymore. At least that's what I feel like. No, I couldn't look myself in the mirror if I thought that I intentionally made a wrong decision or settled for less or for what I didn't want just because I'd feel like I couldn't take it anymore. Because honestly, no matter how many bad things happen, I always can take it. And you always should take it. Because you can't live with less. You can't live with what you don't want. That's a miserable existence. Living with what you don't want and having no hope and trying nothing at all to get to your dreams, your real, truest dreams that you would die for, I couldn't live with that. And you shouldn't live with that either. Because there's so many things that you could do no matter how bad it gets, that giving up just feels ridiculous. Sometimes it may just feel easier, but it's never right. It never could be. I guess if I've got any last thing to say, if you ever feel like you can't get to where you want to be, if you can't get to what you want, remember there's always a way. Remember that you can still do something. It never matters how hard it gets. It never does. If you still have your head in your body, you can still do something. And if you still feel like giving up after that, remember what you'd feel like in 10 or 20 years, whether you're looking back, thinking of what you could have done, and realizing that you could have still done more. That's all.